got a good selection of reading behind you there. What have you got there? Hopefully they're all car books back there.
They largely are, yes.
That's what I like to see. Have
Excellent.
you got any little models there? Are there any little models hanging around?
Yeah, I've got a few electric ones, a few Lancia Integrales,
Yes,
a few karting medals.
mate.
Yeah, oh, fantastic.
I've got an Integrale. I've got an Evo one myself. A proud owner. What a
Hold on,
car!
you've got an Integrales.
Yeah, I've
It's
got two that were
plural.
joined together. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. Too expensive for me. I bought the front half and the back half and stitched it together, and the DVLA haven't spotted it yet, so everyone's happy.
So it's
Yeah,
literally a
but
cut and shut.
now it's out there. Well done. There we go.
It's actually been seam welded. It's actually been seam welded, so it's actually stronger than most of the other Integrales out there. Anyway, don't put this on. Don't put this on. Look at him trying to
Come
destroy
on,
my car collection.
let's get that one pulled over by Bosa, eh?
Yeah.
Anyway, little investigation.
Hello, Louise.
Hello, you're right.
You all right?
It's been a while. I think the motor show was the last time we saw each other.
Which
the
one
British
was that?
Motor Show.
Oh, yes.
In 2020.
Wow.
And you guys were there as well, weren't you?
Wow.
Didn't we do a reveal on that one?
No, that was 2022, I think.
Was it?
And there was a Q&A panel and a large thing about electric cars, as I recall.
That's right. Sounds about right.
I was there.
Right. I think they've taken off now, haven't they?
I think they have, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, some of them have come crashing back down. Fisker Ocean, hello.
No, I was listening to an interesting thing today, which is about the insuring of various sort of cars.
You can't get it.
They're sort of
struggling.
Yeah, so people are struggling to insure them. Is that right? Is that? Oh no, you're supposed to be asking the questions.
I'm interviewing you.
What are the ones to avoid?
Well, it's a bit like petrol cars. Some cars are more expensive to insure than others. So if you go and try and insure yourself on a Porsche Taycan, it might cost you a little bit more than a Renault Zoe.
Well, that is true.
Here's the interesting thing. So it's being reported now that some of the hundreds of Japanese brands and Chinese brands that are now flooding this country with EVs, the insurance companies have so little experience on whether or not they can replace the parts or get front ends or whatever the hell they need. As a result of that, they're just pricing themselves out of the market. They're saying, we don't want to insure this, so your premium's $5,500. So my advice to anyone looking to buy an odd branded EV is to run an insurance quote first.
As with any car.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Tim gets all his insurance free, though.
Yeah.
I wish I did. $5,000 a year I spend on that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So shall we get back to the reason why we're here? Thank you for joining me on Discover EV's podcast.
Thank you for coming on.
Oh, thank you for joining me. I want to kick off things by taking you back to the 100th project, which was aired on episode 10 of season 10. And specifically the 1978 MGB, which you converted to electric rather than restoring it back with a traditional petrol engine. What inspired you to do this?
Well, the family.
Great answer, Buzz. Straight on it, mate. Nailed it. There we are. How's that for your answer?
Yeah, the family had sort of expressed a view that this might be good and might suit the recipient well, and also it would be a nice kind of future proofing of the car. And actually,
and also we were back in the time when we were being told this is the future. Everyone's going EV. It's the death of the internal combustion engine. Will you be able to keep your classic car on the road with an internal combustion engine? So naturally, like every other journalist in the world, we bricked our pants and we better do an EV. There's the truth.
Well, there was something to that, but it presented itself as a really great opportunity, simply because so many MGBs are out there. It gave us an opportunity to use a platform that had already been made for MGBs, and nobody would jump down our throats at us doing it, because the MGB is really almost the most ubiquitous classic of all, really. So it's kind of okay to have a bit of fun with them. But loads of different cars have been done before and since. Even down to ancient 1920s Austin 7s and stuff like that. And I think some cars really suit conversion.
We did get a bit of abuse though, dude. We did get a little. I mean, I don't know about you out in the streets, but on the front lines for me, I got a little bit of a why did you do that to that car?
Well, that was one of my questions actually. Did you come up against a lot of haters, for want of a better word?
No, I didn't. I didn't at all. But you know, maybe Tim did. But I think he normally comes across them. He comes across them anyway.
I come a lot of haters.
Seek him out.
Where is he? Let me at him. Let me at him. He's not. He's not with me. He's hiding in the Midlands somewhere. No, I have had. When you get stuck into these conversations, do you know what? Fuzz is right though. The MGB was probably the best car to do in that sense. They're an interesting bunch of owners, MGB owners, and it was a lesson. It was a learning curve for us. And I think the conclusion was, although I would never dare say this on an interview, let's not do another one of them.
Well, that was another one of my questions.
Yeah. Do you know? I would, but I think certain classics would really benefit. Such as if you take, well, I mean, take an Austin 7, you could do that. But things like microcars, like
well, I drove a converted original Mini.
Maybe original Minis, but even smaller, like BMW Isettas and little bubble cars, those little 3-wheeler bubble cars. I think they, when you start the engines up on those, it's like putting a brick on it in a washing machine on spin cycle. They vibrate and rattle around. I think they would genuinely benefit from being converted to electric power.
You've stolen that's literally my idea for a video. So you've stolen it.
Oh, really?
Out there. Yeah.
Well, I haven't stolen it because I haven't done it.
No.
Well, hang on a minute. Look, I think that the thing for me with EVs in classic cars is I think there should be a law which is you've got to maintain the clutch and the gearbox. I mean, let's be honest, the internal combustion engine is the only reason it exists other than to generate a bit of electricity through the alternator is just to rotate a crankshaft. So I think that to maintain the classic car experience, to still have the gearbox and the clutch in there, the soul of the car to some extent has gone and the motor's gone, but the engine's gone. But you've still got a lot of the flavour. You've still got a lot of the DNA there. So for us, when I drove the MGB, it was just empty. It just wasn't. It was a lesson for me, and maybe even for Fuzz as well. When we drove on, it was a lesson of and a reminder of why we love classic cars so much.
Well, because you were missing the smell and the sound.
The smell and the sound, everything's visceral. It's the whole damn lot. It's the reason that all modern cars now all feel the same. All of them. They're just homogenized into this. You could remove the logo from inside a car and put anybody out in any 2025, 26 modern EV or modern car and go, what is it? What brand is it? And they'd go, I don't know, because it's just a mishmash of, brands these days to me have just become labels. If you look at most of the components of the cars, they're made by companies that supply all different brands. So they have the same feeling. It's just like the soul has gone. Classic cars are where it's at for me, 100%.
Well, I would like an EV with a gearbox still in it because I do like a mellifluous gearbox. If it's got a nice gearbox whine, that's great. That would be that would be great. I'd like to hear that, and I'd like to hear it in isolation. So in a way, maybe that would be even better.
Stop being so pusillanimous.
I don't even know what that means.
I don't know what your word. What was your word? What was your word?
Mellifluous.
What's
mellifluous?
That?
It's like a lovely sort of sonorous choir of gears, all sort of whirring and whining at the same time. It's sort of like a lot of whiny gorgeousness.
Have you heard the word bell that ends in the word I just used?
End bell.
That's it.
That's the one.
Yeah. Anyway.
So what was the biggest technical challenge when you did this electric conversion?
It's where to put the batteries, how to get the drive going through. So I mean, the motor went where the gearbox ordinarily goes, and took up around about the same space. I think we might have had to. I think we broadened out the tunnel a little bit. So it was there, but really, when you're electrifying a classic car, what you're kind of doing is making a small milk float, really, because you're using especially with an MGB, you've got a straight axle in the back there, and you're using a prop shaft, and so you're using exactly that sort of driveline. And then it's where to put your batteries, where to get, so all the balance has to be right and all that kind of thing. And of course, all the other electrical gubbins. But there are spaces in old cars to put all this stuff. So, the batteries went in the front where the engine would have gone. And so, the weight distribution was probably about the same as it ever would be.
Okay. And what specifically made you go for two motors from a Renault Zoe and pairing that with the running gear of a Mark 7 Golf and a Nissan Leaf battery? Or were you advised that was the best setup?
Exactly.
Well, we took some advice from people who'd done it before, because otherwise we might have made a dreadful hash of it. In other words, we were copying somebody else's homework.
That was Chris at Zero EV, who helped us out with a lot of this stuff. This was back in the time. I don't think Zero EV exists anymore. They were down in Bristol or thereabouts at the time. And I think a lot of these companies that were, originally formed with this future idea of, everybody moving towards EV classics, as like Lunas, and a lot of these companies have struggled for reasons that actually were our hunches at the beginning and have come true. I think a lot of people felt the same way in the first place. But it takes driving something electric in a classic car to know what it is you love about a car so much. Because I was chatting to Fuzz about it the other day. The outside of a car, the way a car looks, we were driving something very special, a Lamborghini, which looks lovely on the outside. But the reality is you spend 99% of that time, apart from the time you walk up to it and go, oh, that looks pretty, you're inside the car, interacting with, yes, the way it looks on the inside aesthetically. But other than that, 3 pedals, a steering wheel, and a seat. And that's about it. So if you think about the communication you get through those things, actually, when you EV a classic car, you realize that the engine, the sound of it, the feedback, all that stuff is a major part that you might have overlooked or might not know that you loved so much until you get to drive or convert a car from internal combustion engine to classic. So it was a massive steep learning curve for us.
Maybe we could keep the sound of the engine by making a hybrid. So we've just got the engine driving a generator, a little bit like a Tilling Stevens bus of the 19 teens.
Exactly. It was like, to me, it's like taking my nan when she's 97 and giving her an iPhone 16 Pro Max and go, there you go, love, get stuck into that, or electrifying a horse. It just didn't work.
Electric horse. I bet there is an electric horse somewhere.
We could replace the legs with wheels.
Would you not say it felt better to drive with updated running gear and instantaneous torque, though?
No,
I liked it actually. I did like it. I mean, I had a little whir about in it, and I liked it. I saw the fun in it, and that's the thing.
Exactly.
It's about the fun. It's not about should we do this or what or you've ruined a car, ruined a perfectly good classic car. No, we've just changed it, and is that change fun? Well, actually, I thought it was. So, yeah.
Well, hang on, Louise, let me ask you then. When you drive if you ever drive a car, a classic car that's converted to EV, or forget that. When you drive a classic car, why are you driving it? What is the reason for driving it? Why do you like a classic car?
All kinds of reasons.
Not you, Fuzzbot. Shut your face, Louise. Come on, let's have it.
Well, like you say, it's quite a visceral experience, isn't it? It's the sound and the smell. But I would say you don't really drive a classic car for the drive, do you? They're not, because they feel
we're going to fall out, me and you.
It depends what you term as classic. A 1M, is that a classic? That would feel better to drive than perhaps a Triumph Stag or something. I think to some degree, I see what you're saying about new cars and having that same sort of feeling. But sometimes when you drive your dream car, it's not what you thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
that's true.
I drove a Taycan the other day. I tried a turbo Taycan. I mean, a Turbo S Taycan. They even put the word turbo in. There's no turbo anywhere near there. But drove one of those, and phenomenal acceleration, right, to a point where it entered into the world of being on a roller coaster, and I felt sick. But within 5 times of launching it, you're over it. Then you start hunting around for what next? What else do I get back from this car? And I can see what's happened to the Taycans. I can see what's happened to a lot of these EVs. There are far fewer components, and yes, a lot's to go wrong. And for that reason, I know EVs are going to be the future, but let them stay to modern cars, because you expect that from a modern car. When you get into a classic car, a big part of it for me is nostalgia. And you can't tell me that nostalgia will be driving an MGB with an EV in it. No, part of it is feeling like what it felt like to be my grandparents or me being younger in a Mark II Golf GTR, whatever the hell it happened to be. So replacing that to something that doesn't actually feel like it did back then just doesn't work for me.
But what about the
However,
argument of future proofing? What
Yeah,
if, you know,
well,
our
there is,
cities don't allow
then you're
petrol
right.
cars?
Then you're right.
Yeah, then you have to, your hand is forced then.
Yeah.
So that's it. But you know, nobody. I don't think there's a situation in the world where people are, you know, have to do things under duress. It never ends well, does it?
No.
As long as the House of Lords are out there owning their classic cars, we'll need no MOTs, we'll need no road tax, it'll all be sweet.
Oh,
but
don't say things like that. Don't say things like that. It wouldn't surprise me if they come back in. It's only one accident away, one bad accident.
Yeah, I agree.
Away.
Actually, it's quite a controversial thing. I do disagree. I think the classic cars of all cars should still face the stipulations of a yearly test. I don't know how you feel about that, Fuzz.
Yeah. Well, it's safety, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all very well saying that, you know, I know my cars kind of thing, but you know, the people miss things. It's no bad thing to have even just a sort of very basic check over with a printout at the end saying, here you go, it's not a pass or a fail, but here's the reality of your car. And at that point, the burden of responsibility goes onto the owner or onto the user of whether they ignore that printout that says you want to check your brakes out, or they do something about it. So you know, that wouldn't be a bad thing. It doesn't need to be a pass or a fail. It just maybe a statement of condition.
For me, I think to sum it up, for me, driving an electric classic is the difference between driving a car on a track or going in a computer game simulator. That's the difference. Staggering for me.
That's deep and that's profound. There.
Yes, that is. That is.
Well,
that's the thumbnail title.
We only get one of those every decade, you know.
Yeah, for me. Yeah, it is. And Louise, just reminding me, when did we first meet? Performance BMW back in the day, right?
BMW, when I featured your E46
facelifted M3 supercharged.
Yeah, literally probably 20 years ago.
My God, can you believe that?
No, and we're still
not aged this. Well, though, has he? Yeah, he really hasn't aged well.
Well, me and you both.
We haven't. We've both aged amazingly, Louise. Amazingly, I think we really have. Well, you have anyway. Yes, you have.
It's the fringe.
I think you need to look at what we're looking at here.
I know. Fair enough. Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
So you have quite strong views, I'd say, Tim. Is this why you've never done an EV conversion since, or was it audience reaction, or is it not the feel of the show?
You know, Fuzz, if he's honest, we both said let's not do another one of those. He might deny that. He might have forgotten that.
I haven't said that.
Yeah, you have. Yeah, you have.
Yes, you have. There hasn't been a push to do it really. If you want to do another one, I'll do another one.
There we are. It'll be Car S.O.S with Fuzz Townsend.
Yeah.
And Louise wouldn't.
That's right. Well, we can use the we can use the lack of Tim's salary to actually, you know, do the EV conversion.
I mean, do you know what?
A bit more affordable.
The thing is about those cars, combining old and new technology, I do agree with doing that. I do agree with resto modding, but it's just a step too far in my mind. You were talking about instantaneous torque. With that, there are inherent problems and danger issues. The speed at which some of these cars accelerate, the inertia they develop, the potential for catastrophic failure for a vehicle that was never designed to have that sort of torque delivered through whatever means it is you're delivering it. You know,
match the motor to the vehicle.
Yeah, then what's the point?
Yeah, and then upgrading all the internals with it, I guess.
Everything. It's just everything. It's just, for me, it's just about vanity. If you're updating your car to an EV, all you care about is the way that you look driving down the street. If you're a true classic petrol head, you'll care about your driving experience. For me, it's less about the looks. It's more about my selfish experience.
What about
Here's what I'd like to do.
Yeah.
Sorry, carry on.
No, go on.
I was going to say, here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to take a vehicle that was electrically propelled in the first place and and modernise it with
wicked.
more modern motor, more modern batteries. So something like a milk float or a trolley bus, or even some of those brave electric cars from the 1970s that they made, which only had a range of about 10 miles and stuff like that. Take something like that and make them more usable, so that why not actually restore and retro mod an already existing electric vehicle.
Nice idea. I'm not, just for the record, I'm not anti-EVs at all. I'm not that guy, but I just think in the classic world, I'm yet to drive one that I think, that really works for me. And until that day happens, and in my experience of doing one on Car S.O.S, it wasn't something I look back on particularly fondly. So modern EVs, yes, because when they were designed as being an EV, and every single other component in that car was designed with the thought, this is going to be an EV. But these cars designed back in the 40s and the 50s weren't. So I'm winning this one at the moment. Well done, Tim. I've nailed you both.
I think you're having your own argument there, Tim. But
yeah.
What do you think of companies like Sebring? Have you heard of Sebring Classics, where they basically take bodies inspired by the 1930s and put new drivetrain in, electric drivetrain, but it looks like an old car, but it drives like a modern car? Is that?
Well, some people like that kind of thing. That's all right. And for a lot of people, their hesitancy when it comes to classic cars is the ongoing maintenance and being able to look after them. Unfortunately, people have been kind of slightly bamboozled here, because classic cars in general were always made to be maintained by the owner driver. So they were maintainable, whereas your modern day cars are not really. But it's undoubted that that modern cars are probably more reliable. They take less maintenance, or at least the sort of service intervals are much longer than a classic car. A classic car, you're expected to be doing stuff and adjusting and greasing and
every
all that
journey.
kind of stuff.
It's the DIY journey, aspect, isn't it?
Every week. So it's we're talking about a different era. But things like Sebring, if people just want the look and don't want to be don't want to get involved and do all of that stuff, then absolutely fair play. Would I have one? Probably not.
I get that, though. I have respect for companies doing that stuff. If they're just going for the aesthetics, but the rest of the car is modern. I mean, you could compare it to a Mustang. You could go out there and electrify a 1967 fastback Mustang, or you could just go and buy a Mach-E, and it might feel very similar and be 20 times cheaper. So if people are out there buying the Sebrings and they work for them, and it's all about the aesthetic, and that's cool, and it turns heads, then I will never have a problem with anybody choosing a car like that. But for me, the point I'm making is just about reverse engineering a classic car that was designed 70 years ago in a desperation to try and make it work as an EV. That's the bit that doesn't make sense. We should be investing our time and energy elsewhere to, assisting other whatever. We should be doing something else with that time.
Yeah. Well, actually, based on what Tim just said, do you think synthetic fuel then might play a part?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
and what's your opinion on that?
I think it's a great thing, and I would like to see it more widespread and in use. I think it's a simple fact. I think that the more people that use it, the less the price will be, and the less the price will be, more people will use it. So it's that thing. If it's widely available and being sort of pumped out there in large quantities, then if it's competitive with ordinary fuels, then I think people will get on board with it. I certainly would, and we have done before now.
Classic cars are so infrequently used. When was the last time you saw one on the road? So look, as long may it be that we can continue to use synthetic fuels and other such fuels that may come along in the way. But there might be, as Fuzz mentioned, our hand is forced in the future and somebody makes the decision that no longer can such vehicles be on the road. So we might therefore be the people that got it wrong, and we're all sitting there with our 302 5-litre V8s when people are bombing down the road in the MGB that we converted, having the time of their life with a classic car experience that we can no longer have. And then I'll eat my hat.
Oh, good. You haven't got a hat on. You can eat my hat, though.
Well, I was actually thinking I'll eat my coffin, because I think I'll be in one by then, to be fair. I hope I am.
And in reference to when did I last see a classic car out on the road? This morning, when my wife drove off in her 1960 Triumph TR3A up to Lutterworth. So that's when I last saw one.
Good girl.
And it was running on petrol.
Good girl.
Thanks, guys. I think we've been asked to cut short, so thanks for your time, and it's nice to see you again.
Yeah,
lovely talking to you, Louise.
See you in a bit. Bye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.